Welcome to the show. My name's Jeremy Poole, and I'm the host of The Moment, where we explore and celebrate the necessary transformational process you must go through to achieve at a high level in the real estate industry. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again for another panel where I search far and wide to find the best and the brightest to educate, motivate, and inspire you to reach higher and achieve greater. Let's jump into it with introductions starting on our left.
Casey Granston, work with Caliber Home Loans. I'm a branch manager in Bellevue.
Right on.
Nikki Dankworth. I work with Keller Williams, and I'm a property matchmaker, also known as a realtor.
Peter Badgett, I'm the owner of Urban Properties in Linwood, Washington.
Well, thank you guys all for being here. I'm super excited about this panel. I do a little pre-interview with everyone prior to having them on the show, and I'm very, very excited about this group here. Casey, let's jump into it, starting with you. During our initial conversation, we talked a lot about personal development and your desire to not just help the members of your branch achieve their financial goals, but rather live a better and more fulfilling life, which I thought was really intriguing. When did your journey of personal development begin for you, and how are you applying what you've learned to make a positive impact on the branch and everyone in it who's trying to create a successful career within it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting kind of story, longer story, so I'll try to condense it of how it kind of started for me, but it was really just trying to go out and grow the business, and went and met a referral partner more or less, and started to get down this road with him. He gave me two really good books, which I think everyone should read them, Go Giver and Compound Effect. But basically, he got me to read those books and then tried to cross-sell me a pyramid scheme. So it was pretty cool. We ended up going to lunches and coffees, and my wife thought I was crazy, but I was like, hey, this seems like legit. I'm getting great books from this guy. Why wouldn't I? Let's just see where this goes.
I like
and
this.
Anyways, found it out, but I kind of took it and spun it in a different direction, and more of these books of doing little tiny things to better yourself. And then I just got into podcasts and different books and stuff. And then I started implementing my personal career of setting, higher boundaries and higher limits and higher numbers, of where we could take it. And through all this over the last 3 years of hitting record numbers, bringing people up, is we just have so much more inside of us than we think.
Yeah.
And I think for, LOs and in every stage of life, I think that you can be so much better in every facet of life.
Sure.
You could be a better dad, you could be a better mom, better LO, or whatever you're striving to be, you can be so much more. And I think for people is they just don't know it. They think that where they're going, this is where I'm gonna do, and this is what I should be doing. And what I try to focus on, and what I try to help people see, and as an LO or people in our branch, is, you do this isn't growing, like this next little goal, it's like, how can we get you here?
Yeah.
Like, let's take big leaps, and getting them to realize that they are worth it, they are a great LO, that they can jump up in these like huge gaps and huge levels. And I think it's just bringing the attention to them, and just making them aware of like what that looks like.
Sure. I love that because number one, when we first had our first conversation, I thought the conversation would go another way. Usually these well, not usually, but sometimes they can be short 5-10 minute conversations. But I think I pulled over and we ended up talking for like over an hour on this stuff because I absolutely love it. What does that look like for you? Meaning, like, do you sit down and it's just you and them having a conversation in terms of where they're at and where they'd like to be next year? Kind of walk me through sort of your process, if you have a specific process in which you sort of unbox that individual and say, look, I understand you're here. I understand that making X might be the next level for you, but understand that that's limiting thinking, and how can we begin to increase your standards for what's possible for you?
Yeah. And it's changed over in the management style and where we've gone with that. We looked at it the first year, we kind of looked at this, and it was after 2 years of kind of doing it on the personal side, called it an FU goal. we try to PG down it and more take out of the goal instead of a vision,
Yeah.
right? Because a vision of where you want to go and what you want to do encompasses, your why and your how and why you're striving for these things and how to get there. And so what we do when, the other manager and myself sit down on one-on-one, it's we look at your personal growth, where you want to be there, and then your work. And we asked 10, 15 questions on there, and it's where do you want to go? Where have you been? And it's usually like, well, I did 40 million. Next year's going to be 45 million. And what we talk about is that, these stretch goals or these kind of things, like you could probably go back in your career and life, any goal you've had, you've come to hit, right? Like it's there. Like I've found old 5-year plans. Yeah. And it's like I'm reading, I'm like, this is creepy. Like it's like I've hit everything and not even knowing, but I wrote it down once. Wow. And so if you could, like what we try to do is have them develop this vision or this plan that's, okay, you did 80, let's do 150, or you did 40, let's get to 80. Like how can we get you to double it? Yeah. Right? And it's not necessarily the number. It's we want to make the plan, the vision, right, for you of how to get there. Okay. You might not hit that number, right, but if you're doing $3 million a month and the stretch goal is $6 million a month, if we can get you at the end of the year or in 6 months to, whatever a year to be a $6 million, in my opinion, you've hit that vision, that goal, because now we've ramped you up. You've become that person.
Yes. I love that idea of, and I sort of think this way too, in terms of, okay, if Jeremy is 1.0, what does 2.0 and 3.0 look like? If you're going to achieve new things, that means you have to start doing new things and start thinking a new way to have new results. A question I would have to ask you is, what is the feedback that you're getting from these individuals in which you're causing them to think differently and thus act?
Yeah. I mean, one is, to help coach or help train people, get them up, they have to want it. Okay. So, I would say there's a lot of LOs that just don't want it or don't need it necessarily. Sure. They're doing great and they don't need it and they're happy where they're at. To make these steps and to make these leaps, I think you have to be wanting to be coached and wanting to be, there. But the feedback for the people that are doing it is they come in and it's, I never knew I could do that. Wow. Until you had that conversation, I never thought I could get there. Wow. And that's what this is about. Like, it's cool to do your own production. That's awesome. But like to have other people and change other people's lives and get them to, again, be the best version of themselves, that's so much more important to me and where I'm trying to go in my career and in my life as well.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Fantastic. Do you guys have any questions?
Well, I just love that you're creating a mindset that, creating a mindset of a culture that encourages people to excel beyond themselves. And I love to see what specific steps that you give them. Because I know if you want to double, sometimes it's overwhelming, right? So what are some specific steps you give them so they can gain the confidence that they can do it?
Yeah, so again, for everybody, right, it's their own plan, right? It's their own vision. So that can take on, a life of its own and they can have their own steps and this kind of stuff. But we can create the number where they want to go, right? Because if you've done one transaction or 10, you know the how, right? And if you want to go to 40, it's just quadrupling that number, doubling that effort. And then what we try to do, with that is, and I think Caliber does a really good job, and that's how I've grown in my career, is our top LOs across other, branches where we're competing still, but we're one family more or less, is they'll sit down with you and give you ideas of what they've done and how they've gotten better and these kind of things. And so, we have a really cool group of 5 managers and, 21 LOs. So sitting down and asking other things of, other people. And we like to, share our ideas and how that is. Like, I mean, really, like if you're going to hit your stretch vision plan, you got to work your tail off, right? So there's no like easy shortcut for that, but we can develop the plan around what works for you, because everyone's, gathers business differently, essentially.
Sure. Fantastic. Cool. Well, awesome.
Yeah. What would you say your stretch goal is and what motivates you to stay on track? Say you're hitting these goals year after year and you're killing it. How do you keep upping that and finding the next level, I guess?
Good question. I'm super competitive, so I want to test the limits of everything I do, and so for me, of just keeping going up. But my why is so strong that they're on my socks. My kids, right? Like, and my wife, like having her stay at home and take care of the kids and being financially independent, that I can go be the dad when they're ready to play sports or ballet or whatever they want to be.
Yeah.
I want to be in their life. Like, my biggest stretch goal, I call it this year, is being present in every moment. And it's really, really hard.
Wow.
But just
That's great.
when I'm home, when I'm at work, when I'm here, like, I want to be here. And numbers and stuff like that, it's you can always come up with the formula, but if you don't have that why, you don't have like what gets you out of bed, what makes you make those extra calls. If you don't have that really defined, I think it's really hard to take the next level.
Wow, that's awesome, Casey. I mean that, because that's huge. That's one thing I'm also trying to work on now as well, is like, money comes and goes, right? Like, if you work really hard and you're good at what you do, the money will come. But really living a fulfilled life that you're super excited about. And like, one of my biggest goals is, like, when I'm close to death and I know it, I want to be able to look back on my life and say I did it. Like, I did a really good job and I really, really enjoyed my life. And so being I don't know how old you are, but you look pretty young, is to have a goal of being just present in the moment and just getting the most out of life, because the other stuff is handled. I think that's huge. And I think you don't always hear people talk like that. And I think bringing that approach from a level of being a manager, but then bringing that into the overall culture and how you go about coaching and training your team, I think that's huge. Is that, yes, I do want you to double your numbers, but more importantly, I want you to live a great life that you're really excited about.
Yep. Yeah, it's been fun. Like, I mean, Wendy, the other manager, and Trevor and Donovan and Corey, like, we all came from different spots and kind of came together with this branch, and we all are all on the same page of what we want to do, and it's fun to do it with people that kind of have the same vision and where we want to go. So
That's great.
It's pretty cool.
I love that. Nicole, you're up.
Okay.
Okay. Nicole, great real estate markets like the one we're in, they come and they go like seasons. The trick is to store away enough provisions in preparation for winter, while still planting enough seeds in the spring so you can enjoy a full harvest, like in the summer. What are some of the changes you and your team had to make in order to move with the changing times and thus reap a full harvest during this plentiful real estate market that we're in right now?
It's plentiful, but it's insane. Yeah. And so for us, adaptability has been key, and really listening to our clients and honing in. Everyone says they give white glove service and they're the Nordstrom experience, but I would say we hunt down the business. If we're not finding the home on the market or they keep getting beat out, I will dial every house in that neighborhood that they want until I can find them what they want.
Wow.
And that feeds such a machine. They're our friends by the end of the transaction. We have these close relationships. Then come referrals. Like, I would just say going way above and beyond and being willing to adapt has been crucial for this market right now, especially working with buyers.
Well, that's tremendous, and you're saying some great things, but you actually mean it in the sense that you actually will figure out which neighborhood they want to buy in, and you actually will hit those phones and make that happen. So sort of walk us through what that looks like. Like, what's your process of identifying a buyer, you're really actually interested in doing this, and what's your process of going from, okay, I will do these things for you, and then actually having a plan and doing it?
I'll use my most recent example. He's a luxury buyer. He wants on Maidenbower Bay. Okay. There's nothing for sale there. No. And so we pulled a title list. We've called everyone on this street that he wants, and I have 2 appointments this week. He wants either of them. He's down for both. One's $6 million, one's $8 million. Wow. And then you're talking about, like, I'll bring one of these people a buyer, and it'll be the easiest sell of their life. But then they're going to want to purchase another home from me, right? And then the other guy, whatever home we don't choose, like, I'm sure if I'm calling him with this information, he's going to list with me.
Jeez.
So yeah, we really do go way above and beyond.
Just making it happen.
Yeah.
And so was this something that maybe your coach told you to do? Like, how did you get the kahunas to say, you know what, if there's not enough homes on the market, I'm going to go put homes on the market?
I think it's my personality, and I have a huge why, just like Casey, and I hustle. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen so many realtors, there's a lot of us, sit and wait for business. Just wait. Maybe they might sell 10 million. I don't want to sell 10 million. I want to sell 100 million or more. And so it comes down to who's going to actually make the business happen and connect people. That's huge too, just connecting people. If I know you want this and I'm talking to him and he may want to sell, do I make the introduction and try and just build on that? And I think it's just seeing that it works and knowing that it might be 20 hours of work, but a $6 million deal. Like, I'm going to get on the phone and just do it.
Just hustling.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love that. I love that.
So is this something that you started doing just recently because of just the market is just incredible right now, or has this kind of been a part of what you do?
It's been what I do from the start. Yeah, I've built my business, so I come from a wholesale background.
Okay.
I did some off-market deals, so it was already the networking. Like, I would know that these builders or this person wants this to buy in this neighborhood. So then when I got licensed, I just did that for all my retail clients too, and they were so amazed. And I'm like, don't all realtors do this? And no. The pressure's been on though with this market. When you literally have 18 buyers for one property, we've had to really, we're probably working 3-4 times as hard to do the same volume.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've really turned it up and come up with some good, I like to call it like the network.
Okay.
I have a lot of agents I collaborate with and a lot of people that we all know, and we get exclusive kind of off-market properties that we just match people up with so they're avoiding the bidding war. And
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's great. That's awesome. Right on. Well, any questions?
Well, I just love that what she's doing.
Yeah.
Right. I love that. I mean, I heard that there are 3 types of people in the world: people who makes things happen, like her. People watch things happen, and people ask what happened. Right.
Yeah.
But I love that she's that type of person that, you know, I'm gonna go make it happen, and how fun to see that. Right.
it is fun. You can make your own reality,
That's right.
like make your dreams
You
come
can
true.
make your own reality.
Yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely. So I wonder, like, how do some of these conversations go? So you call someone on Clyde Hill, for instance, and
Yeah.
you're asking them to sell their $10 million home. Like, are they open to the idea?
Oh, yeah.
They are. Okay.
Well, because I'm not. We all get the calls, the cheesy, like scripted.
Hey, how's it
Yeah, it's
going?
horrible. So I'll call, and they're grumpy at first.
Yeah.
Fine, say I call, and you're like, you're bothering my day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have a buyer. If you've thought about selling at all, like, this is no sales pitch. Like, could I tour the home with my client? And I'll send
Everything's
you
for
over
sale.
proof of funds. I mean, yeah, everything's for sale, especially these wealthier people. They want
Yeah.
it.
Everything's
They
for sale
make
except your
moves.
kids and your
Yeah.
wife. But yeah, everything's for sale.
And it turns usually into like an hour-long conversation.
Yeah.
When you start hearing them, listening to them,
Yeah.
what might motivate them. You know, one guy we're looking at tomorrow, his main Mauer Bay, he's recently divorced. He's a retired doctor. He doesn't want a $6 million waterfront house anymore.
Yeah.
So like just hearing his story, I know his dog's name. You know, it's like a friend already. So how
Yeah.
could you not win?
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, that's a lot of value. I'm sure people who are watching this, and again, a lot of real estate agents watch this. I know that probably crosses a lot of people's minds, but I would imagine a lot of people are really intimidated to do that. Like, I'm just going to find out what this person's phone number is and call them. And like you said, everyone right now is thinking about buying or selling real estate. And so if you call them and you do have a buyer or possibly have a buyer, I can see how that conversation would go really well.
Yeah.
So are you like, you know, it just seems to me like you're just ultra competitive and like it's almost, do you kind of like have like a game out of it? It's like, okay, hey, I'm going to get this person. And do you have any kind of game on your team of like you get under so many calls, or do you guys play like little kind of things like that at all?
Yeah. There is definitely, the other 2 girls are like this as well. And I'll be like, okay, we're going to get this many pending or get this many list appointments. And not like pressure, but like for fun.
Yeah.
But for me, and there is no goal per se, I think it's wanting to see my full potential. If someone would have told me I'd close what I closed last year, I wouldn't have believed them. So now I want to know how much higher can I go? What's the most expensive property I can list? How can I sold Ryan Lewis's house last year. That was pretty cool. So breaking into the local celebrities, the big stuff. Like, so there's always this little voice in my head that's like, you can do that. And
Well, when you were telling me what you closed, and then I was like, oh, you must be a seasoned and you're 3 years into this. I was like, wow, okay, I'm interested to hear your story about like, you're a hustler, and like you're a work hard. And I think like when you start taking these leaps and going up, you have to kind of have it a little bit of a game or like a little bit of a competition in your own team to kind of play off of each other, which is cool.
I will say our office posts like top producer every month, and I like to be I'm usually the one every month.
Me again.
So now it's a game for the other agents at the office. They're like, I want to beat your numbers, and so that strives me to be like, you're not going to ever beat them. But
Yeah. But that's cool when they start leveling up because of you. That's
like
awesome.
that.
Iron
Yes.
sharpens iron, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of fun to see her coming from a different industry too, with
Yeah.
a different mindset versus traditional mindset. You can get lost in the cog. So here's somebody fresh coming from different mindset and different industry, kind of sees it differently and blows up the phone, and she gets the business, right? That's kind of fun to hear that.
Yeah. I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years before that. Yeah. So it is kind of, sometimes I'm like, how am I pulling this off? But I just watch what other people have success with and make it my own.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, good stuff. Peter, you're up. Peter, during our conversation, I got the sense that you were a big picture thinker, and so I wasn't surprised to learn that in addition to having your real estate license, you also had, at one point, your mortgage license and an insurance license so you can better assist your clients through the real estate transaction, allowing you to take more of a holistic planning approach towards achieving your clients' real estate goals. Peter, what are some of the common mistakes or missed opportunities you're seeing a lot in this market right now, especially with it just being insane, where you have people making offers that are $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 over asking price?
Yeah, well, I think it's unfortunate where the real estate industry is set up. It's set up for people to overpay for a home. What I mean by that is when I work with the clients, I look at three things. I first look at their finances and I ask the question, what's your financial goal? And maybe they're 25 years, what's your financial goal for the next 30 years? If they're 40 years old, what's your next financial goal for the next 20 years? If you're 60 years old, what's your financial goal for the next 10 years? Right? So then I look at from finances first, then I ask the second question, why do you want to buy a home? Because when you buy a home is a liability.
Sure.
I mean, money goes out, it doesn't come in. It's a huge liability. And a lot of people think it's investment. It's not an investment. Maybe it's investment for your family emotionally, but it's not. The word investment means money's coming in, not going out. So I asked them a question, do you want to buy a house for buying a house, or do you want to buy a house to make money? So they kind of think about it, and they say, oh, I'm interested in want to buy a house to make money. Then we have a different conversation. So I look at their goal. Now you want to buy a house to make money. Then we look at the inventory, right? So we talk about Northwest multiple inventory. So when people say there's not enough inventory, that's not true at all. There's inventory all over. What they're saying is there's not enough inventory for what I want on the Northwest MLS.
Right.
And look at her, right? She goes, I'll do off-market phone calls, plenty of inventory. You're telling me there's no house in the 1 mile radius when there's 3,000 homes, no one's gonna sell me that home.
Right.
That's not true, right? So it's the type of inventory you're looking for, you're saying you don't have. So what we do is we help people find inventory. Like we do off-market deals, we do private sales. We can also look at how we look at the MLS and look at what property they're looking at. What I mean by that is most people want 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 200 square feet, and it goes on the market for 800,000, then they get bid up to $1 million. So what we do is we look at something for like $450,000 to $500,000 home with 2-bedroom and 1-bath, and we bring our contractor in and put a $50,000 to $75,000 remodel in 90 days.
There you go.
Suddenly you got a home that's listed at $800,000. Now you only pay $700,000. Then it's worth $1 million. So you actually are making money. So we're teaching people how to actually make money in seller's market.
Sure.
It's a completely different way of doing real estate.
That's incredible.
So we do that with the additions, we do improvements, and sometimes we have them put 5% down and have with enough improvements where the market's going. 7 months later, we refinance and take the mortgage insurance off.
Right.
So the payment drops another $400, plus to get the house that they want in the neighborhood that they want.
That's amazing.
Plenty of inventory. You can do distressed properties. You can look at short sales, bankruptcies, a divorce. 50% of people get divorced. 61% of people get divorced sell their homes. Look at probate. Look at bankruptcies. It's where you're looking for the inventory, that's what you're gonna find.
I love
right?
this
So it's not about inventory, there's plenty.
Yeah.
It's the expertise on how to find those inventories.
Yeah.
That's what I love about her story, right? She's like, "Pff, I'm gonna pick up the phone, have my title pull up 300 houses, I'm gonna call them.
Yeah.
Right? She found the inventory, right? Why she created it. In the same way, I like to help people understand that you can create inventories. Let's look for them. Tell me what you want, and let's make it what you want, rather than allowing the traditional market to dominate what you want
And
and
dictate.
overpaying
Yeah.
for the house, which I hate doing, right?
Sure,
Who wants to overpay for a home or anything you purchase?
Huh.
So then the third part that I tie in the money part is because most people have their money in two places: bad real estate holdings and horrible retirement, right? So in finances, when I realized that, I'm like, wow, why don't they have a real estate as a part of their investment portfolio? Can really give them steady finances,
Yeah.
right? So traditional way finance is done is, hey, put away $1 million so you can retire, or put away $2 million when you retire. Well, like who can put away, after feeding your family and paying for the bills, who can put away $10,000 a month for the next 30 years? By the time you get there, they keep moving the post. Oh, I'm sorry, you need another $1 million because inflation, right? So rather than doing that model, I thought, well, it'd be much better to go buy a 10-plex, and all you need is 30% down. Go buy a 10-plex or 4-plex. You can put 3.5% down and buy a 4-plex, right? And then that will cover the rent itself, and it can raise the rent every 3% every year, just like you're adjusting for inflation. The money never goes away. Number one reason, number one fear now for people is no longer public speaking. It's, I don't have enough money to live on.
Yeah.
Because way traditional financial planning is done is put away a certain amount versus have a property that spits out cash every single month and that increases every year. And you get depreciation, tax deduction, rent increase, and the debt gets be reduced. Simultaneously, you're paying off your debt. But why not go that way? Why not, or add that component in your financial planning? And so those are kind of model, I call it integrated systems that I put together. And then, the last part is, we look at the goals, we look at the inventory, then we look at the money.
Yeah.
How do we get the money? The traditional route, right? You got VA, USDA, FHA, conventional portfolio loan. Or you can go into private funding. You go hard money or family and friends, soft private money. Or you can look at your 401k. You can borrow money from 401k, short-term, long-term. You can borrow money from your insurance if you have life insurance. Or you can go in partnership, borrow somebody else's money, borrow somebody else's insurance money, or equity to bring in partnership.
Yeah.
So those are things I help people work on and bring together so they can be financially be in control.
That's excellent.
So
I
those
love
are
that.
kind of examples.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think all of that is a great message and a great plan. The question I'd have for you is, how are you getting that message out there? Because I feel like not enough people are taking that approach. Is like you're saying, it's not necessarily a matter of not being enough inventory. It's just thinking about it more creatively.
Well, I think my way to do is I mentor a lot of people.
Okay.
I coach people. I have people who approach me about wanting to learn the integrated system model. And if they don't know, if they're afraid, we actually maybe do a deal together.
Okay.
Like I bought an off-market property with one of the agents from a different company. Because she brought a deal and said, I don't know what to do with this, right? Because there are three components to good real estate investing. Is you have to have knowledge, you have to have an opportunity, and you have to have the money.
Okay.
So she brought the deal, and I said, well, I have the knowledge. She knew it was good, but she couldn't describe why it was good. I said, well, let's buy it together. So we bought it together, and 8 weeks later, we're gonna double our money,
Wow.
right? So now she's gaining knowledge. Now
Sure.
she can either do it again with me, or she can do it by herself, or
Yeah.
she can do it with someone else.
Sure.
So I think having a good partner or mentor can really accelerate your development quicker.
I like that.
Look at Michael Jordan, the greatest, basketball player ever lived, next to LeBron, right? But they always had the coach.
Yes,
Because
yeah.
the reason being, I believe, because the coach allowed them to see things they could see on their own.
Yes,
So-
that's huge. That's
Huge.
absolutely huge. Just like Casey was talking about.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be good at what you do, but it's a whole other thing to have somebody who maybe has a different point of view and a
right.
different perspective on terms of not only what you're doing, but you yourself, and they push you just a little bit more, and you discover that there's a lot of untapped?
Yeah, I mean, I can give you an example of like one of our gals. Donnie was one of our agents, and he was talking to this gal named Catherine, single mom with 2 kids. And she said, I want to buy a house. I said, why do you want to buy a house? Because I don't want to rent. I'm paying $2,400 a month to rent. I don't want to rent anymore. Well, what if you lose your job? Suddenly she realized, oh my goodness, if I lose my job, I'll lose my house. Then I'd be in a difficult situation.
Yeah.
So now, do you want to buy a house to live in a house? Or do you want to buy a house to make money? She said, I'm open. So I had her pick 3 desirable areas she wanted to live in: Seattle, Bellevue, and Kirkland. Well, she bought a house in a nice area in Kirkland. It was a 7-bedroom house. We made it into an 8th bedroom by adding a door. She rented every room out for $1,000 a month, and she lived for free. Her mortgage was $3,800. She was bringing in $7,000 a month. So she was making money every single month.
Nice.
Right? Then when she moved out, after 12 months, she was able to, now she's bringing $8,000 a month, and her mortgage was lower, right? Because she refinanced lower, and she bought a brand new home that she wanted to live in.
Excellent.
So now she's financially free, because the first house was paying for herself, and it was paying for her house that she wanted to live in. So now she had 2 homes that's rising quickly in this market.
Yeah.
That's with 5% down.
That's fantastic.
Right now, I ask her, what happened when you lose your job? Nothing. I'll just click unemployment.
There you go.
Right. So that's one way to protect it. Another story we just had with one of our clients. He bought an off-market property. We bought a 4-plex off-market property. Cindy did a great job. He helped them buy a 4-plex for $825,000. It's worth $1,050,000. So he made over $225,000 on the first day. But then I said, well, when are we going to flip this? Go buy a 10-plex. He goes, what? Yeah, because what we want to do is we want you to take the 4-plex and buy a 10-plex, because we want to reduce your risk from 25%. If somebody doesn't pay a rent, you're 25% at risk, right? That's why we don't buy single-family homes. It's 100% risk. Quadplex now is 25%. If you go 10-plex, now you reduce your risk to 10%. You bring up your cash flow by 2.5 times, and you get more depreciation, more interest deduction, and you get more cash flow. So if you pay this thing up quickly, you can be financially free in 10 years.
Yeah.
And he was utterly shocked about the process,
Yeah.
right? If this can be a part of your portfolio, you can really grow your money quicker. So that's a good, quick example of what I mean by integrated system.
I love it. Good stuff.
Well, first, I'm glad he's out of the mortgage industry. I wouldn't have a job.
Well, mortgage is a tough work, man. I would not want to do mortgage.
I mean, super sharp, but like definitely thinking outside the box, which is super cool. Like a couple of those thoughts that, I mean, just personal is like, when you do the 10-plex and the 4-plex and those kind of things, like obviously there's limited of those. And are you cold calling, or how are you coming across those opportunities for your clients?
Yeah. So what we do is I work with a group of wholesaler people, and then I'm also going into like creating inventory. Right? She's getting the inventory, gets already there. And another way to create inventory is look for a home with a vacant lot you can split and build a house, or add a modern apartment, or you can look for a home with 2 lots, or I'm working with investors right now to buy 10, 20, 40, 50 plex lots, so they can actually build homes and have my clients ahead of time, hey, we got homes building in this area, in this location, in this location. So I'm trying to get ahead of the game. So I heard somebody say that, I don't know, a long time ago, that back 30 years ago, someone said, man, there was no inventory, so I just bought 5 acres and started building houses. That's what the idea was birthed. I'm like, that's a good idea. Yeah. So I thought, well, I'll go get some investors, go get some land, and people who are selling land, and then see if I can put this package together. So that's what I'm in the middle of that right now.
Outstanding. Well, this is going really, really well. I have one last question for each of you that was not planned, and that is, everyone here is doing incredibly well. What does the end of 2021 look like for you? Meaning, what would you like to accomplish by the end of this year?
Well, for me, we want to continue to grow and continue in our branch to just kind of define who we are. Okay. I think, and so, outside of hiring and this kind of thing, like the number that we're trying to hit is $2 billion, which is a super stretch goal.
That's aggressive.
Very aggressive. But I think, again, if we're starting to put things right in place and everyone feels like are kind of getting into where they're supposed to be at.
Yeah.
And just I don't know. I don't necessarily have that answer, I guess, but you know, on
that's
that
good.
side. So
Right on.
My
Nicole?
number's a lot less smaller, but it's just 3 of us girls.
Yeah.
So we're hoping, there's definitely a number in mind. I think we may surpass it at the rate we're going, but it's
Okay.
60 million.
Right on.
And there's definitely the goal of certain luxury properties I want to have hit the market.
Okay.
I want to do my first big flip. Got an offer out there for really cool house, so that would be
Exciting,
nice.
exciting.
Yeah, kind of roll out more into like what you're talking about. I want to branch out and be able to offer, you know, more services.
Sure.
We're doing flips, we're doing more stuff in-house, so yeah, it's an exciting thing.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Well, I think I got several goals. Number one, to maybe hire 2 more agents to be part of our partnership in our firm. And second thing is I'd like to hopefully maybe get 50 development opportunities lock up. So we're going to have 50 homes for sale next year.
Okay.
And then third thing is I'd like to hopefully have raise the funds to start another company that would really enhance the real estate industry. So I got multiple companies I'm working on developing and building simultaneously. So, and then obviously have a great marriage and make a lot of money, I guess.
Well, right on, guys. Thank you so much for being here. You guys are all rock stars, and thank you for tuning in. And make sure to come back and visit us next week.